Alright guys, so good evening. Tonight we're going to be looking at our benchmark review for Unit 7 in the textbook. It's actually our 6th science unit this year, but Unit 7 from the textbook if you're going on to Think Central or anything like that. We're going to look at the benchmark review. We're going to talk about the right answers, why they're the right answers, why the wrong answers are the wrong answers, and how if I see a similar problem on the test, how I can know why those wrong answers are wrong and know I'm not sure what the right answer is, but this can't be it. So those are the two things we're focusing on. What are the right answers and how do I know the wrong ones are wrong? You're going to want to have your benchmark review out. You're probably also going to want a pencil because we make mistakes. And I always like to have a highlighter so when I'm going back to study, the answer pops out at me. It's not kind of masked with everything else. It's gray and white on my page. So we're going to start the best place to start, which is number 1. And if we take a look at number 1, we have 3 cars. If you look at that picture closely, the only difference in those 3 cars are the weights being added to the top of each of these cars. Car 1 has 1 weight, 2 has 2, and then if you look at car 3 has 4. So they're doubling the weight every time. When we think about weight, we want to connect that with mass, right? So the question is, how will the force of the rubber band affect the cars? Well, if we're applying the same force each time, but the cars have increasingly bigger masses, I'm going to start thinking about this before I even look at my answer choices. I want to see if I can answer this on my own, and then is there an answer choice that matches my thinking? So what I know by looking at this picture is that car 3 is going to go a shorter distance because it has more mass. I know car 1 is going to go the farthest, and car 2 is most likely going to go a distance almost exactly between car 1 and car 3. So now I look at my actual answer choices. And when I look at those choices, I see car 3 will travel the longest distance. Well, if it has the greatest mass, it's not going to go the farthest. B says car 1 will travel the shortest distance. Well, this is wrong for a similar reason that A is also wrong. Car 1 has the least mass, so it's going to go the farthest if I push all of these with the same force from the rubber band. C says car 1 will be the least affected by the force acting upon it, and D says car 3 will be the least affected. So now I have to decide between car 1 and 3, which one's going to be the least affected by the force I'm applying to it. So when I flick that rubber band, which car is going to show the least change in motion? Well, we know the greater the mass of an object, the more force is required to move it. So I know when I look at cars 3 and 1, 3 is going to be the least affected because it has a greater mass, 4 times the weights added to it as car 1. So for number 1, the only answer that makes sense is D.